welcome to the live stream of the PNC Steel City Open, an APTA Grand Prix event brought to you in part by local support from Allegheny Smoke Works, Rob Roy Industries, Bill Few and Associates, Church Brew Works, and APTA national sponsors Viking, Savory, and Uline. We are live at the Fox Chapel Racket Club in Pittsburgh on the APTA network presented by eNet Live. I'm Jerry Viant, along with my co-host Mark Fischel, and we're at the start of the men's final between the number 2 seeds, Hughes and Powers, and the number 1 seeds, Araya and Morneau. And Mark, let's talk about what we're going to see here.
Well, John Hughes and Mark Powers are both out of the rackets industry, as is Jeff Morneau. Ironically, Jeff and John Hughes belong to the same club up in Longmeadow, Mass. Juan Araya is the only rackets professional on the court. He's the head of rackets chair at Greenwich Country Club. So I'm really excited to see the match, Jerry. These teams have played numerous times. On the far side, the lefty in the white shirt is John Hughes, and the righty in the blue shirt is Mark Powers.
And let's talk about that team's strengths. Have you just called the match from their semifinal?
I think Mark Powers is a dynamic player. He's got a lot of game, a lot of overheads, drives the backhand, drives the forehand, moves real well. Still kind of feeling his way through, trying to figure out which shots to hit and when to hit them. But without question, one of the most dynamic players in the game.
And John Hughes is the lefty?
Great athlete, chases down a lot of balls, good forehand, likes to climb that side wire and look for it, volleys well. Just great competitor.
No, we talk about a good move. We're calling it the Matrix. It would be on a highlight, but yesterday, oh my God, he got out of the way of this shot and was like, I don't know, I've never seen anything like it before. He is just so athletic. Keep your eye on him. Lefty on the white top. And on this side, we have a well-rested from the semi-final team, Jeff Morneau and Juan Araya.
Jeff's in the red shirt on the right side, possessor of one of the most precise forehand drives in the game. Keeps the ball low, always spots it well, and really sets his partner up. And in the blue cover is Juan Araya, who is fast becoming the best individual player in the game. His resume is lacking one thing, and that would be a national championship. His performance in the semis today was absolutely sublime against Gambino Trzynski. I mean, he literally overwhelmed them.
Let's take a look at the draw before the guys are just taking their serves and see the path that got them here to the finals. This is the first tournament on our Grand Prix series.
Araya and Morneau had a tough quarterfinal with Ardoya Le Prévert. Came through, semis a little more routine. Hughes and Powers has a relatively easy route to the semis where they had a war with Scott Kaler and Casey Watt. There was a 3-hour, 15-minute battle where they came out on top.
And so these teams have played each other 3 times before. One of those matches was 3 sets, but all 3 have been won by our number 1 seeds.
Yeah, not only have they played 3 times, but Juan's played Hughes and Powers with a couple other partners as well. So there's a lot of familiarity out here. As I mentioned earlier, Morneau and Hughes belong to the same club. And I think Araya is planning on playing Sound Shore with John Hughes. So these guys are all real comfortable together. And they're so comfortable that Morneau and Hughes will be driving 8.5 hours back to Springfield after the match.
Discussing their match.
Determining that this match will determine who drives.
And that kind of sums up the camaraderie that we have on the Platform Tennis Tour, isn't it, Mark?
It really does.
They battle hard on the court, but it's really all about the hang time.
Yep.
And we've got 5 tournaments in our Grand Prix series, so in 2 weeks we'll be coming to you from Chicago, the charities. Actually, it might be 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks. Yep, first weekend. And then from there we go out to Long Island.
First weekend in December.
And then up to Boston.
End of January.
This is like a calendar test for you,
Yes,
isn't it? And then we go to Philadelphia.
In late Feb.
And we'll be streaming all those matches for you. There's the calendar right there. And you were spot on all of those.
Now, if you're enjoying the streaming, let's let our umpire introduce the players.
Grand Prix. This match is best of 3 sets with tie breaks. To my left, in the deuce court from Enfield, Connecticut, John Hughes. His partner in the ad court from New York City, Mark Powers. To my right, in the ad court from East Longmeadow, Massachusetts, Jeff Morneau. His partner from Old Greenwich, Connecticut, Juan Araya. Araya Morneau won the toss and elected to receive.
That's Marshall Chapin, chair umpire, and one of the key umpires in the APTA Grand Prix circuit. And as I was saying, if you're really enjoying this streaming, the APTA spends a lot of money doing this. It's all funded by membership dues. If you're not a member, I would encourage you to join. Okay, so Mark Powers to serve, and it looks like Juan and Jeff have switched sides again, with Araya on the deuce court and Morneau on the ad court.
Love 15.
Now, last week in the finals of Patterson, Araya played the deuce court with Michael Montalbano in a 3-set win over Hughes Powers.
And Mark, why
Love
is that?
30.
Why is one starting to play some matches on the deuce side? Is it just match up to their opponents?
I think it's both.
Love 40.
I think Juan played the paddle player open with Mark Parsons and kind of fell in love with the deuce side. And he plays it differently than anybody I've ever seen. He does a lot of chipping with his backhand. He holds the ball, and then he'll blitz at the last second. And I look for him to get in John Hughes' face today. And Jeff Morneau returns great. Now, in the quarterfinal match, when they switched sides, that was a function of return of serve. Feeling was that, Mikordoya's serve and the backhand and the forehand side is so good, Jeff can't get any swings at it. And Juan was happy driving it off the wires.
And mix the big lefty.
Hughes and Powers are going to have to play their match of their life to win today. Coming off that brutal semifinal.
Well, they're starting to, slow, deliberate. And one is going to want to play fast.
15-40.
Yeah, there are really only 2 teams in the country one actually that's found a way to slow Araya down. That'd be our national champions, Broderick and Palmer. Wow, that's some forehand from Araya there.
Now, I'm going to give you a little project here. We're going to watch Jeff Morneau at net. He's in the orange shirt.
Game
We're
Araya
gonna have to
Morneau.
wait.
They lead the first set, 1 game
But Jeff
love.
Morneau switches hands on different shots. So he hits his serve with his right hand on the bottom, and then if he serves and stays back, he immediately switches, hits his ground strokes with his left hand on the bottom of the paddle. At net, he hits his overheads, same as his serve, with his right hand on the bottom, but then if he thinks his opponents are going to drive, he sets his paddle with his left hand. So it's very busy. I'm going to try to figure out which camera is going to highlight that, because I don't know anybody else who plays paddle and switches their hands.
Do you think his drive is a right-handed forehand or a left-handed backhand?
Well, he says he uses his drive left-handed on both sides. He does it on tennis too, forehand and backhand.
And here they are playing their style of one up, one back.
Right, Jeff does not want to waste a lot of energy. If he gets pulled back, he's going to give up the net like here and just cover anything that goes through. One will pick it off if it's above the level of the net.
And there's an
15
example of the
love.
style of play that Hughes and Powers can't afford to play today. If you're going to get into a hands battle with Juan Araya, if your name's not Jared Palmer or Drew Broderick or Johan Durant, you're going to finish second.
Yeah, he's just too artful.
I will also say that Juan is playing some of the best paddle I've ever seen from him. Semifinals was just incredible. I mean, he overwhelmed a really good team. Jeff will not be
15 all.
replaying that shot at home tonight.
So you see Jeff standing at net, and he's
30-15.
expecting a drive on the return of serve, so his left hand is on the bottom of the paddle. And now he switches and hits his overheads with the right. That's an awkward angle that Juan pulled so tight, and when John Hughes put that lob up, Jeff Morneau had to move back and to the left to hit that shot. That's not how you want to play the overhead.
I think it's really important Hughes and Powers get off to a good start. Hughes and Powers' one win over Araya was at Patterson. Araya was playing with Javi Farron Cranewitter, and they were up 4-love in the third, and Hughes and Powers came back to win 7-5.
40-30.
So you see Mark Powers hits a few harder forehand swings, and Jeff and Juan both just absorb the power and send that ball back straight, deep, and slow. They're not looking to snap cross court.
Sloppy early play from Jeff Morneau.
All right, let's give them a break. They just had lunch, and they got to get on the court and get going. I give players 4 games. Got to get into the match. Got to feel the ball.
Did you give Sueri 4 games?
And myself too.
I'm not buying that at all.
It's true. Match gets going after 4 games.
We'll talk to Lauren Mendel about that later. Jeff struggled in the semis, did not play well. I expect to see him play much better here.
Oh, nice athletic duck. Don't try that at home.
And there you see Jeff's
Advantage
forehand
Araya
combined
Morneau.
with Araya's blitzing. It's just a lethal combination. And they're able to do that because Jeff is just so precise with where he spots his forehand drive.
That's what makes it so amazing with his switching hands in the back. He's so laser-like.
Big return from Mark Powers. A rare cut at the Araya serve. Most people lob it from over there.
So 2 different types of overheads from the Morneau Araya team. Jeff shovels it. He's got that shovel overhead that keeps the ball deep and low in the court. And Juan can really, he can just do a lot of different things with his overhead, but he really gets that ball to break.
Advantage
Bite the
Hughes
side
Powers.
screen and drop. Keep breathing, Mark. We're still in the first 4 games. It's okay.
Not that I'm counting, but that's Jeff's 4th error of this game.
That's a smart play.
Game Hughes Powers.
John Hughes, just a little
First set
chip,
tied, 1
found
game all.
Jeff off the net. He had to volley up.
That was an important game for Hughes Powers to stay close.
Love
John
15.
Hughes serving. He's the lefty.
Wow. Replay?
Love 30.
Mark Powers was never more than 2 feet from that ball, and he never touched it.
There's no way. It's just, he had that so low, too. It wasn't coming back over the net.
A little worried
Love
about
40.
serving. There's a lot of legs in both these guys' serves, and they had that real long semi-final match.
Nice move.
There's that lob chip combination that I talked about with Araya's one-handed backhand. And as soon as Morneau gets lined up for a forehand, you're going to see Araya blitzing. Oh, what a get from John Hughes. Does anybody scramble as well as he does,
No,
Jerry?
it's. I was telling you about that matrix move. It's just
Araya calls
amazing.
his volley out.
15-40.
Hughes
But both
beat-
of those volleys, Mark, excuse me, one hit straight back where they came from, which is the right play because he's got that backcourt player scrambling,
30,
and
40.
rather than let him off the hook by volleying cross court, he goes right back behind them.
Oh, catches the seam.
Deuce.
Nasty bounce. Jeff Morneau was lined up to rip that one. This will be a big hold for Hughes and Powers.
Oh. Yeah, all of those lobs at one hit were
That's
short, and I'm
Hughes
just wondering
Powers.
if it's intentionally short. None of them moved
Yeah, I
Hughes
thought
and
those-
Powers out of the service box.
That was a series of great overheads from Hughes and Powers. You shouldn't be so critical, Jerry. Let them have 4 games to play.
You're just waiting for that. You've been waiting for what, 2 years?
Just walked into it. Here's the blitz. I thought Mark Powers was really effective in the semifinals, moving up that side wire and stealing time. There he does it again.
Game
Big
Hughes
hold from
Powers.
Love
They lead
40.
the first set 2-1.
All right, Savory is proud to be an official sponsor of APTA. Let Savory focus on your landscape so that you can focus on your game and enjoy every outdoor moment. Savory arborists provide professional tree, shrub, and lawn care services throughout the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, Chicagoland, and Twin City regions. Visit savorytree.com today to schedule your complimentary landscape assessments. And Mark, let's talk about your lawn.
Looks great, Jerry. I learned a lot from you and Savory on how to manage it. Now, my lawn is slightly smaller than your lawn, but it still looks good, and I'm proud of it. Okay, Jeff Morneau to serve to John Hughes. They start out in the I formation. And here we have the one up, one back. I think one of the things that Hughes
15
and
love.
Powers have to do more of, and it's a strategy that Mark Parsons first employed against Johan Durant, is hit the ball where Araya is, because he's always moving to the middle,
Yeah,
and they're not
that's-
hitting enough balls behind him.
Right, that's a good point.
Again, Mark Powers hurts
15
him
all.
climbing that side wire.
Oh,
Jeff Morneau decided
15,
last second
30.
that ball was in.
well, he was going to hit it, and then one said no, and he hesitated.
$15-40.
Good early play from Hughes and Powers. Chance to go up a break.
There's that volley. could barely,
30-40.
that sound of the spin coming off the ball.
Such a beautiful sound. Another break opportunity.
Oh, that was a great shot of had Jeff serve with his right hand on the bottom and then switched to his left hand, took that ball, drove it off the back screen.
Advantage Hughes Powers.
Another real good ball from Mark Powers.
There it is again. Right hand comes to net. It's a overhead, so it's his right hand again on the bottom of the grip. Right hand. That's a great angle to show that. Thank you, Kelly. Kelly's one of our producers. It's on camera.
It's amazing how many
Game,
volleys
Hughes Powers.
are
They
missed
lead
off
the
that
first
Powers
set,
forehand.
3
Ball
games to
just
1.
jumps a little further along than they think.
Like, really leads back with his elbow.
Watch that elbow, Jerry.
Well, I'm showing you. How he
Yeah,
leads
you're
back
showing
with
me
his
very
elbow.
closely. Okay, 3 games in a row for Hughes Powers.
So this is like
15.
the transition game of paddle. I mean, if you can't play transition, you're not going to get through these top players. They've got big drives, different combinations of spins. They cover all the nicks.
Yeah, that last miss from John Hughes was an interesting one. His partner is the best player on the court right now. And it's really important you have an awareness of what's going on, not only on the other side of the net, but next to you. So when your partner's hot, maybe you want to play a little more conservatively, a little more patiently, and give them some opportunities to win some points. And Mark Powers is winning a lot of points right now.
That court awareness is so important with your partner. Playing as one unit, not two individuals trying to set up your best shot. Oh, nice touch there. There's one again. He stays perfectly still at net, Araya, on those volleys.
15 all.
He can absorb that big heavy drive and he just takes away the pace, sends it straight back. It's almost like, what else you got? What else you got?
(30-15).
Araya missing a lot of balls early.
Jeff's Morneau in the orange, and the ad side is hitting the majority of his lobs
40-15.
down the line. Try to get his opponents to hit over to one.
Now watch Mark Powers' back foot, Jerry. It's right on that center stripe.
40-30.
Mark Powers playing with a lot of confidence, isn't he, Jerry?
Yeah, and he's got a lot more touch, I'm noticing. Like, even though that shot didn't go over the net, it would have been very effective because Jeff was
Deuce.
off of the net and he would have been forced to volley up. He's kind of not just blasting the ball. Yeah, I see.
That's a
I see what
foot
you're
fault
saying.
right there. Yeah, and he's won a lot of
Advantage
points with
Hughes
that
Powers.
soft shot.
Kind of, he holds it. It's the same preparation as when he's going to rip it. And he's always looking for the player that's off the net.
The ball hit his head, I guess, on the way through.
I guess.
The only explanation for that reaction. That one's better.
That's John Hughes' favorite shot. He climbs up the side wire, tries to pounce on a down-up overhead. Really working. Jeff Morneau pulling him back, chipping it in. Pulling him back. That is a well-placed overhead. 2 in a row there.
Didn't hit the fence. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. I know what you're saying, Juan. It just didn't spin away. He didn't hit it. Nope.
Okay,
It didn't.
chair umpire Marshall Chapin disagrees with Juan's assessment that the ball
It's
hit the
advantage
wires.
Hughes Powers. That was that deuce. Advantage Hughes Powers.
Boy, does he pull that ball down the line brilliantly.
He does, doesn't he? Short, compact backswing, and then just everything goes forward. Bounce hit at its best.
It's more like bounce hit.
He uses the speed of that serve.
Game Hughes
Great
Powers.
game from Hughes
They lead the
Powers.
first
They look
set,
terrific
4
early.
games to 1.
They look very composed, very controlled.
Viking Athletics is the premier brand and the undisputed leader in platform tennis. Viking is platform tennis. The Viking Extra Duty platform ball has been the #1 selling ball in the industry for the last 20 years. It's the official ball of the APTA, of the APTA Nationals and President's Cup, and of the APTA Grand Prix Tour.
And Mark, I saw you do an interview with Alex Banchilla talking about the products.
Yep, went through the paddle line. Got some great paddles for all sorts of levels of play. So Juan Araya to serve. 1-4.
Love 15.
Jeff looks a little out of sorts, and we're past the 4 game
Past the 4
point, so
games.
now we can discuss how he needs to settle in.
Yeah, a lot of misses from Jeff. Jeff is usually rock solid. North on the compass.
Yeah, and he doesn't, he's like on that out ball, he kind of looked like he's hesitating and not trusting.
He didn't play real well in the semis either. I expected him to play much better today.
Love 30.
And that's just not the right place to go with the overhead. It's almost push it back down the middle or into the corner and let one go over to the outside.
15-30.
Some positive words for Juan, for Jeff. Oh, vicious Nick, great recovery. Boy, Mark Powers looks really good right now.
All.
You know, again, with Powers doing so much damage, I'd like to see Hughes a little more patient.
40-30.
They took that ball up too high. So when the ball's coming off the back screen, you want to make sure it stays between you and the net and try and keep your feet moving forward with the ball.
Boy, did you see how early Mark Powers climbed up that side wire?
He was there. And they can make those moves. They can, we call it lock and load. He slides over, ready to pounce, because if the ball goes too hard into the side back wire, he's just going to let it go. His partner's going to get it in the middle.
Finally misses
Araya
a forehand.
Morneau. Hughes Powers lead the first set.
Araya and Morneau break the streak of 4 consecutive games.
John Hughes serving.
So there they are. Araya and Morneau switching him early in the point. Juan has missed a lot of forehands the first 6 games.
That ball was
30
right
love.
next to him. That's that move where Mark Powers moved up. He was looking for the ball to hit on the rise, and it was just a little too hard, so he let it go. John Hughes came and took it from the middle of the court, throw up a lob.
That's a great swing from Hughes. And that's what we talk about. Hit it where Araya is, not where he isn't. And there's the chip and blitz.
That,
30-15.
the let cord jumping over the paddle when both players are at net is a killer. It was so disappointment.
So a lot of that in the
Yeah, I know.
semis. The quarters last night, Ardoya and Pavera got a bunch.
So that's the point ending shot, as is the slash drop back into the net. See Jeff just moved, Morneau just moved back to the baseline. Can you hear Araya calling every lob, so there is no confusion as to who's hitting the overhead? that's a little scary. Yep.
Ball look wide to you, Jerry?
It did. I thought it was out.
Yeah. Me too.
And that was John Hughes.
Oh. Wow.
That's just
30 all.
There's no way he can get it. I mean, Araya punishes a floater.
On the forehand, he does it a lot in the backhand. He doesn't do it quite as often on the forehand. That was impressive.
Okay, now John Hughes has got an opportunity here. Let me see if that play presents itself again.
Pull the forehand down Araya's line.
That's one, but that shot that we thought was hit wide, before that, he's able to get Jeff Morneau to move back and to his left behind Juan. Because Juan's pulled tight to the net when John Hughes now's got the ball, that one. And the last time, Juan had called Jeff to take it, and it makes him have to change directions twice.
Yeah, that's a ball that Jeff's going to allow Juan to hit.
And that's Mark Powers taking the ball early off that deck, the block lob, taking away time.
Point for 5-2. Swing and a miss from Morneau, and then he misses the lob long.
Game Hughes Powers. They lead the first set 5-2.
Okay, we've got a replay of that amazing shot.
Guys.
And here it comes.
Yep.
Well, it bounces sideways. No forward momentum at all. Almost like your brain can't compute that it's going to bounce in that direction.
And these are fast guys.
Great job by our crack team. Yeah, John Hughes is as good as they get in the country retrieving balls. Okay, Jeff Morneau to serve, 2-5. I look to see Araya and Morneau's level go up at this point because they've really not played well these first 7 games.
15 love.
So the preparation of Araya's overhead there, he held it as if John Hughes was going to come in.
30 love.
It's that same preparation. It can hit that cut drop, or it can slash it right back deep.
$30-15.
Morneau faded out of our picture there. He was so deep in the court.
And we might note it is hot here at the Fox Chapel Racket Club in
40-15.
Pittsburgh for October.
76 degrees.
$40-30.
A lot of questionable decisions from Jeff Morneau.
He looks a little tired to me. Oh,
Awfully far off the net to try that shot.
and not balanced. He was moving trying to hit that shot.
Yep, back.
Set point. Araya looks
Advantage
incredulous.
Hughes Power. Deuce.
It's a great shot of the hillside here. Pittsburgh.
Nice crowd here for the finals. Even though the hometown hero, Scott Kaler, is out. Tournament director and number 3 seed, Scott Kaler. He ran a heck of an event.
Yeah, we're going to get him in here to join us for the second set. Get his comments on the match and the tournament. And
nobody knows more about playing this tournament with bronchitis than Scott Kaler.
And I was going to add, and the healthy state of platform tennis in the Pittsburgh area.
I'm just glad he's going to be sitting next to you, not me.
Hughes and Powers look really solid. They look patient to me too.
Well, it's just such a beautiful symmetry of the game. When your opponents are struggling, you can afford to be more patient. And Araya and Morneau have missed a lot of balls you would expect them to miss. First set.
Morneau is seeing a lot of balls right now.
I think that's a good thing for Araya and Morneau.
Oh,
that's a great catch. Well, he stuck his right hand up and just snagged it complete. No error or anything.
He had no play on that, apparently.
Apparently.
Game, Araya, Morneau. Hughes Powers lead the first set 5 games.
Just the variety of spin that Araya puts on that overhead.
Much better game from Jeff Morneau as well.
New ball. Mark Powers just hitting a practice serve with a new ball.
There's that Nick going from counterattack to attack. Great play from Mark Powers.
Love.
Almost like toyed with him then on that play. Roller came in.
All.
Great move by Araya.
It's that precision forehand from Morneau, the confidence in his partner to know exactly what he's going to do.
Nice pace overhead there by John Hughes.
30-15.
Lead cord goes long. 2 points from the set. That's such a smart play by Mark Powers there to lob that ball and not get into that boom-boom exchange, which is what Gambino-Trzynski didn't do in the semis.
Oh, that's a great angle, that camera angle that shows Mark Powers' paddle preparation before the ball hits the court. Watch this. His paddle is set. Oh, then it was a race. I can get there before you.
Yeah, Araya's definitely pushing the action too much right now. Double set point. So how do you think the umpire should handle that? Because that's hard to see, the foot fault, but it's definitely a foot fault.
So his back foot, let me just watch this point first so we can talk about it. Paddle goes down.
Another missed overhead for Morneau. Game in first set. Hughes Powers 6-3.
All right, let's discuss the foot fault when we come back. We'll be right back in just a moment after these messages right here on the APTA network presented by eNet Live.
You have to have a passion for taking care of the customer, and you have to do your job as if your last name was Uline.
For my business, everything's go, 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 and the customer service alone is one of the most valuable things for us. We can call and the phone's picked up immediately. We never have to wait in a queue.
The phones don't ring at least half the time because they go directly into the headsets of our customer service representatives because they know we're waiting for it, and it can be a very fast transaction for them.
Order placed by 6 o'clock p.m., order ships out, customer gets that product more often than not in one business day.
Not only are those orders going out the door quickly, but accurately.
We live and breathe reliability.
But we really do care if a product's returned. We do care if it's not working right. We try to do it better every day.
Every single person looks at customer comments. I mean, that's where we learn.
Come to Uline because service has always been much, much better here. I always feel like you're treated like you're appreciated, you know.
We do it well. We do it real well.
Once a customer gets used to that, why would you want to leave? We treat you well.
Welcome back to the PNC Still City Open. We're in the men's finals. Number 2 seeds Hughes Powers took the first set over the number 1 seeds Araya and Morneau.
I think Scott Kaler's joining us shortly as our guest interview. Okay, so Juan Araya to serve. First game, second set. Normally a team loses a set, Jerry, and my attitude is they have to make some adjustments. I think Araya and Morneau just seem to have to play a little better. Made a lot of sloppy mistakes that set. Great scrambling from John Hughes. And a missed volley from Jeff Morneau.
15.
He looks somewhat befuddled. Great try from John Hughes.
15 all.
All right, we've got Scott Kaler joining us. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you.
Jerry, which Scott Kaler do we have? Do we have the tournament director, the player, or the patient?
I'm going to cover it all. How you feeling, Scott?
I'm definitely a little tired after that semifinal this morning and early afternoon, but feeling all right.
Great effort, Scott. Running the tournament. I know you've been sick all week. Just amazing on your part.
Well, we have a really good team here in Pittsburgh, great staff here at the Racket Club, and a lot of wonderful volunteers from clubs all over the city. And without a big team effort, there's no way we could have put on a tournament like this. So very fortunate, and also with the sponsors that we had too, helping us out both financially and with stuff on and off the court.
Well, kudos to your team, because I thought it was a really well-run event.
Thank you.
And it must be fun for you to have the home crowd support. And you played really, really well.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's having a tournament, especially a big one like this, one of the Grand Prix at your home club, is definitely a unique experience and a lot of fun. You know, the membership here has been really excited about it ever since we found out we were getting it, and then especially over the last month and a couple weeks, just kind of building up to it. There's been a buzz around the club, and getting to see all these great players from out of town. You know, and a lot of our members watch the live streaming throughout the year, so getting to see all these players live and in person. And, you know, we've got a nice setup here with outdoor deck that can watch some of the courts, and it's just fun to be a part of, and definitely great to have it here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, well, from my perspective, working with you with the live stream and getting everything done, you were so detail orientated and just so easy. It was really a pleasure and seamless getting everything set up and ready to go. I mean, it's been a month long getting ready, and you could feel the excitement and anticipation, and it was so great that you had such a big crowd here supporting you. And
yeah, it was a lot of fun, and you know, obviously I've played a lot of tournaments over the last few years, and it's been great seeing the live stream get better every year and more professional in the production, and you guys with the commentating and everything. And I'd say I have a whole new level of respect for all the setup that goes into it, and the preparation.
Game Araya and Morneau, they lead the first set.
You know, you think you have an idea,
Hughes Powers
and then when you have to actually be
6-3.
part of the organizational process, there's a heck of a lot that goes into it. So kudos to you guys and the eNet Live team as well. You know, they do a great job, and it's not easy. Every site's a little bit different with all the little things to deal with, and you know, local geography and weather, and
there's a lot of moving parts.
Exactly, a lot of balls in the air.
All right, so have you had a chance to watch any of the final at all?
I'll be honest, I've only watched a few points here and there. But
were you surprised looking at the scoreboard that Hughes and Powers got off to a 6-3?
When I heard you say that the Hughes Powers won the first set, I definitely looked up, and just more than anything because we had such a long match, and I know how I'm feeling right now. So if I had to be out there myself, I don't know that Casey and I would be putting up the effort that these guys are. So kudos to John and Mark. We'll see if Juan and Jeff can come back here in the second set.
Jeff Morneau has changed his shirt, so he's no longer in the orange. Mark, I want to make sure that you know where he is at all times.
And the interesting thing is they're not switching sides, which tells you they're comfortable with their strategy. They just have to execute it better.
Yeah, that was my first thought. Was I wondered if they were going to switch back to how they traditionally play with return to serve.
Oh, what a dig!
15 love.
Who actually got that ball?
I think it was Mark Powers, but I could hear otherwise. Juan claps his hand in admiration for the get.
I think Hughes and Powers might be the best digging team in the country.
I agree with
the
that.
two of them, obviously they're both move really well, but they also just anticipate spin and bounce and have that last second athleticism and wrist strength to get really low soft balls up out of corners. And there's a lot of times you think you
15
have a ball down on them, and 2 hits later it's back to neutral and you're just shaking your head in the middle of a point.
Yeah, that's frustrating, isn't it? When you think you have a .1, it's hard enough to win it once, but having to win it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, and especially in this warm weather too, where there's even more balls than normal you can run down. It definitely takes a lot to win points for sure.
That's great overhead.
30,
I tell you
15.
what, that spin that John's hitting with his lefty overhead is an improvement from at least the last time I played him. I don't remember dealing with that much of a ball that kind of is you're fighting on your paddle when he's hitting it.
Jeff Morneau did the exact same thing when he did a guest appearance during your semifinal. Oh,
Yeah,
that's his shot.
He's definitely just started going after those short overheads a little bit more, and you know which way the ball is going to bounce, but in that split second where you have to actually react to it, it kind of makes you think a little bit. And I had a couple today that just went a little further off my paddle than I'm used to, and you end up missing what should be a relatively easy, not an easy lob, but a ball you expect to make, and all of a sudden the spin's just carrying it
30,
wide.
40.
Boy, this opening service game for Hughes Powers, they missed an easy overhead and two relatively easy overheads.
Yeah, both of those are normally their bread and butter shots.
I always find those first few games are so critical at the beginning of a set.
I think
Establish momentum.
especially when it's the lower ranked team that's won the first set. If they can stay ahead in that second set, to truly have that belief. If the higher ranked team wins those couple sets, then it starts to creep into, oh, this is what's supposed to be happening, and you're constantly fighting that, especially when you haven't beaten a team before.
Jeff Morneau just looked lost on that last ball. Great playing from John Hughes.
Advantage Hughes Powers.
This be a big hold.
Deuce.
Scott, we were talking earlier about Mark Powers' back foot here, and several times he's been on the wrong side of the hash. But it's really an impossible ball for the umpire to call.
Maybe we should institute instant replay into our sport the way the other sports have.
I like it.
What's tennis? 3 challenges per set?
Yep. 3 incorrect challenges per set.
Right, that's right. You know what I have to say, when I was playing him today, I didn't notice. I mean, he certainly stands close, but at no point when I was returning, and I play the deuce court, and I usually line up pretty far to the left, so I would have been pretty much staring straight back at him.
Advantage Araya Morneau.
Break point.
Jeff Morneau is really struggling with John Hughes' spin over there. A lot of positive energy from Araya Morneau as they go 2-love second set. That was a little bit of a blink from Hughes Powers, wasn't it, Scott?
Yeah, it looked like, early in the game, like you said, there was a couple of those their juicy high forehands they both missed, and then that last point with Juan blitzing forward. That's one thing Juan does about as well as anybody, those moving forward in those kind of hand-to-hand combat situations.
You're awfully good at that too.
Except when I was getting hit by Mark Powers today.
Wow, some pickup. Couple of big forehand returns from
Love 15.
Powers over on that side wire. One forehand, one backhand. There's that get that you talked about. Another one. That's remarkable coverage.
And right now, Jeff and Juan are just probably shaking their heads. It's that it gets back to neutral after you have them totally scrambling, and the point just completely starts over.
Mark Powers holds that backhand so long, doesn't he, Scott?
Yeah,
Waiting to drive or lob.
Yeah, you know, especially when it's out of the screens, because
Love 30.
his preparation's pretty much the same, and his wrists and forearms are so quick and strong that he can snap off a drive and all of a sudden the ball is in your chest, or he can kind of hit that kind of low lob that all of a sudden you're reaching way back for and end up hitting a down up ball that, you know, sets up their offense. And that, you know, it's kind of like a pitcher
30.
in baseball disguising his arm position, and you almost have to read the situation more than actually look at his paddle, because he doesn't give you much.
Boy, does that ball come off his paddle.
Yeah, he generates about as much racket head speed as anybody in the game.
15-40.
Scott, how difficult is it to receive and read Juan's overhead? Because his preparation is the same.
I'm probably not the right person to ask, because I think I'm 0-17 against Juan.
What does it feel like?
To answer your question,
what does it feel like to be on the
it's
receiving
very difficult. You know, one of the most helpless feelings in paddle in the game today is when a short lob goes up to Juan, because you literally have to guess. He can hit right there. He can hit the deep slash. He can hit the short one that's the spin dropper. You know, he can hit the roller to both corners. And every time, whichever one of those he hits, the ball's coming off his paddle shaped like an egg, and you're kind of just
like that.
Exactly like
30,
that. That was
40.
The preparation there looked like it was going to be just kind of a regular one screener, and then it bit just enough that Mark kind of second guessed himself, and
or he could have hit the slash straight back to Hughes, or he could have hit the breaker. It's all from the same preparation.
Exactly,
His
yeah.
elbows low, paddles by his head. He lets the ball drop.
Yep.
You know, we saw before that, you know, John Hughes started to run to come in thinking he was going to break, and he just went straight back behind him. I'm like, it's a nightmare to play against that.
Yeah, he holds it. It's the same preparation. It's a big shoulder turn, so when you're looking at him, you're kind of just seeing the back.
Right.
And you just see this big windup, and you know something's coming at you. And even if you do read it right, it's still a tricky ball to handle.
Advantage,
You know
Araya
it's
Morneau.
going to be spinning off your paddle, so you got to aim a little further to the other direction.
Hughes Powers look a little low energy to me right now. Making some sloppy mistakes.
I'm still feeling low energy, and we've been done for 2 hours. They've played another set, so.
Game Araya Morneau. They
That's
lead
a
the second set 3-0.
They can
Hughes
turn it
Powers
around
won
here.
the first set 6-3.
Save-A-Tree is proud to be the official sponsor of the APTA. Let Save-A-Tree focus on your landscape so you can focus on your game and enjoy every outdoor moment. Save-A-Tree arborists provide professional tree, shrub, and lawn care services throughout the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, Chicagoland, Twin Cities, and Nyack region. Visit treecare.com today to schedule your complimentary assessment.
You're just hilarious, aren't you?
I'm a big fan of Save-A-Tree. I don't know what you're talking about.
Scott, just before the play starts, how is the league play in the Pittsburgh area?
We have a very good league. So the women actually have 2 leagues. They have both a daytime and evening league. The daytime league has 8 divisions with 8 or 9 teams in each division. The evening league has 4 divisions with I think it's 10 teams in each division. And then the men's league in Pittsburgh has 8 divisions as well, 10 teams per division. We have a little over 60 courts in the Pittsburgh area amongst all the clubs. So, given the size of our city, we've got a very active and healthy paddle community, and it's getting stronger and bigger every year. Both at the tournament end, we've got some more teams traveling and playing, and at the local level too. Every year we're adding teams to the league. So it's a great thing to see.
Well, I must say, from the live streaming perspective, anytime we live stream any of your matches, the spike goes up here in the Pittsburgh area. I mean, they're very strong viewership at every tournament we stream.
40 love.
That's always good to hear, and I know Casey and I appreciate all the texts we get from people wishing us good luck, and every once in a while giving us a little bit of advice on how we could have lobbed a little better.
Isn't that great? Have 9,000 coaches?
Absolutely.
Not just Mark and I commenting.
I know.
Any of them have recommendations on how to play against Araya?
Not yet. If anybody can figure that out, I will be more than happy to respond to a winning strategy against Araya.
He's moving nicely now.
Oh, great game from John Hughes.
Araya and Morneau lead the second set.
Stop the bleeding a little bit.
3 games to 1.
So one Araya to serve.
Love 15.
Couple of faults from Juan today. In the finals, he had none in the semis. Taking a moment to compose himself.
I thought he was coming to talk to you.
It's always a possibility. A great move by John Hughes, just fails to execute. Now look at John scoop those balls up. Really impressive. A little confusion with Juan and Jeff in those last 2 balls.
That's what I was pointing out before. When that ball goes into John Hughes' corner, lefty, if he can find Jeff's left shoulder with his lob, it's awkward. And it is causing a little bit of confusion depending on how close to the net Araya is.
Seen Araya and Morneau playing a lot more balls into John Hughes' corner this set as Araya catches the nick.
30 all.
Not that Hughes and Powers can't win this in 3, but you'd have to think their best chance to win today is the second set.
Here's the flat overhead from there, third panel slam. Oh!
Missed it
30,
wide.
40.
Really big point right here, which will be followed by 30 more really big points.
Oh!
Wow.
Dude.
Scott, you have that shot?
No.
Don't lie.
Occasionally in a Saturday
Don't
morning
lie.
practice set.
I saw you practicing that the other day.
Definitely not in the finals of a Grand Prix.
And break point down. Yeah, a lot of people can hit it when it doesn't matter. That's confidence. Great digging from Powers.
Nice deep lob by John Hughes. Whoa!
Down goes Frazier. I mean Morneau.
And that's why I think if John Hughes can find that spot with his lob.
One says vamos and
Advantage
checks
Araya
on
Morneau.
Jeff. Are you okay?
Because it requires a lot of little adjustment steps. So if John Hughes hit a couple of balls down the line to get one to close up, and then would open up that spot where he could lob between, I think, to force Jeff Morneau to take a lot more little steps.
Oh, what a rip for Mark
Deuce.
Powers.
That's that really quick, almost no backswing at all. It's so hard to pick up the ball off his paddle.
Johan-esque.
It's in that category. I'd say Mark hits it a little more topspin. Johan's is just a bullet right at you. Mark, the ball wants to eat up your paddle with all the spin on it.
Advantage Hughes
That's
Powers.
John's best shot there.
Yeah, he loves that shot. Slide up the side and jump on it.
Yeah,
Chance to get back on serve. Oh, what a pair of volleys from Jeff Morneau. Twice on break point.
Deuce.
Jeez, look at Hughes.
Advantage Hughes Powers.
Not a ball you see Araya miss much. Wasn't even trying to do that much with it.
No, that one just looked like it's going to be the roller back to the forehand. Just caught a little too thin.
John Hughes was ready after the third one.
I think that one he started running before
Araya Morneau
Juan even
lead
made
the
contact
second
with
set,
it.
3 games
Which
to
is
2.
what you have to have a
Hughes
chance to
Powers
get him.
won the first set 6-3. New ball, guys.
Viking, the official paddle of the APTA, engineered to provide superior feel and the perfect balance of power, control, spin, and durability. The Viking paddle is the official paddle of the APTA Nationals and President's Cup, and of the Grand Prix Tour. And we thank all our sponsors for making this possible. And Scott, you had a lot of local support with the sponsors as well, which is great.
Yeah, we were very fortunate. You know, we've got a great paddle community here, and we've got some individuals and organizations that are willing to step up. Certainly PNC Bank, our title sponsor, but also some of the local guys, Allegheny Smokeworks and Bill Few Associates, Rob Roy Industries, and the Church Brew Works for providing some of our beer for us. That was definitely a hit last night amongst everybody hanging out and watching the matches.
It was definitely a hit last night. I saw Jerry with 3 or 4.
That quarterfinal atmosphere, you can't beat it. Everybody's hanging out, all the players come back to the side, and the members are here.
Yeah, I think that's for most tournaments. I know that's what I look forward to most as a player. You know, those are the matches you want to be in. You want to be out under the lights playing with a lot of people around there. But if you're unfortunate enough to not be playing, then you're going to be there watching and, like you said, having a few beers and enjoying the atmosphere.
All right. Let's take a look at Mark Powers serving. We're having a discussion about this back foot.
I think this is a really important game for Hughes Powers to consolidate the break. Maintain the momentum. Smart play by Mark Powers.
A volley lob.
What do you think of this formation, Scott?
You know, I've seen it a few times with these guys. It's they managed to make it work.
It's amazing.
Have they named it?
You know, the finals of Boston last year was like a mirror image because Parsons Durant do a lot of the same things. Like the positive energy from Jeff Morneau.
I think that's one thing Jeff does well, and is one of the reasons his partnership with Juan has been so successful. You know, he's able to keep the team together, staying positive, and keep Juan playing well. Because obviously, when Juan's playing well, that team can beat anybody.
You know, I love how smart Hughes and Powers are played in the transition game today. Another great example there. Jeff hits the big forehand, Juan blitzes, and instead of getting engaged, Jeff throws up the lob. Powers throws up the lob, backs up, and starts over.
All right, here's this deuce side.
Love 40.
Little confusion in the backcourt from Araya and Morneau there. See if Mark Powers can skate out of this one. Now there's the back foot we were talking about.
Yep.
And that's clearly a foot fault. Great play by John Hughes. Now there Mark got a little too aggressive and paid for it.
They lead the second set 4-2. Love 15.
Can Araya and Morneau consolidate?
15 all. $15.30.
Do you watch a lot of the live streams, Scott? The matches later on?
Yeah, I definitely go back and look at them. Maybe not often start to finish, but definitely points here and there, or especially if there's a sequence of points or a specific point I want to remember, or just in general to see kind of what an overall strategy was. And a lot of times when you watch it after the fact, that was an amazing shot.
It was.
I don't know how that got over the net.
A lot of times the way you see a match after the fact on TV is a lot different than how you're seeing it through
Hughes
your
Powers.
eyes in the heat of the moment, or what you and your partner were talking about
Araya and Morneau
versus
lead
hearing
the
what
second set,
commentators
4
may have been
games to
saying,
3.
or there's definitely different, just different things you can pick up or reinforce good things as well.
Will you watch today's match at some point?
Probably. I don't know if I want to watch. I don't know if I want to watch all those lobs.
Yeah,
It didn't get out of the service box.
Get to a sore subject. I'm just curious.
Yeah, maybe I'll just watch the first set.
Unfortunately, that's the set we don't have.
I appreciate that. I will not watch it today. I'll be watching the Steelers today. Maybe later this week.
Okay, so we've had a number of breaks in a row here. Very few holds this set.
So tough to hold in this warm weather. Can't be very confident in that first volley coming.
Oh!
Our tour director Shannon Vincent's right down there.
Take a minute.
Walk on the court.
Take a minute.
Take a minute. Got to ride him in the back of the neck.
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah.
That ball was fired too.
It came off right off the edge of John Hughes's paddle.
It's amazing. He served so well today. Faulted, a couple of times in the semifinals total. Out of nowhere.
And that's the shocking part.
Yeah.
Can't even prepare yourself to be hit if it's coming at you. He just had no idea that was coming.
Hope Mark's okay. Doesn't seem like know where he's going. Wonder if he's going to get a little lower here. Can't give you a lot of confidence as a server either. It's like the dreaded shank on the golf course.
Love 30.
Oh, what a shot.
Love 40.
That backhand flick is so difficult to read. It doesn't do it. Obviously, it's very rarely on the deuce side, but out of the ad side where he normally plays, it's impossible to read. But he's shown he can do it on that side too.
I think it's one of the reasons he's enjoyed playing the deuce side so much. He's so creative with the backhand.
Jeff Morneau does such a good job of just stuffing that volley straight back. Trying to keep your opponents moving.
What a lob volley from Morneau.
Game Araya Morneau. They lead the second set 5-3.
I think we've had one hold in the last 6 games.
Well, like Scott was saying, the receiver has the advantage. A short ball, server off the net, and it's so warm out.
15 love.
Oh, great return.
15 all.
So early, so short.
Everything goes forward after the bounce. I don't know how many times
30,
we've seen
15.
that leg cord jump over the paddles. If it lands in, you don't have a play.
So let me ask you a question. We apologize when we hit lead cord winners. When you're a lead cord loser, does the other side apologize?
We're all about sportsmanship.
Set point. A lot less movement from Hughes and Powers in the backcourt right here. You can kind of see them getting a little flat, and that's game in second set. Araya Morneau, 6 games to 3.
All right, we'll be right back in just a moment after these messages right here on the APTA Network presented by eNet Live.
You have to have a passion for taking care of the customer, and you have to do your job as if your last name was Uline.
Welcome back to the PNC Steel City Open. We're in the men's finals between the number 2 seeds Hughes and Powers and the number 1 seeds Araya and Morneau. I'm joined by my co-host Mark Fischel and our special guest announcer, tournament director Scott Kaler. So, guys, what do you expect to see this third set? I mean, Hughes and
Love
Powers have
15.
got to be exhausted.
You know,
And
between the
that's-
second and third sets, John Hughes was doing a lot of stretching. And as Scott mentioned, we were talking about it a little bit, you just saw a lot less foot movement from them when they were in the backcourt. So I'm hard-pressed to see them winning this third set. I mean, it's battle. Anything can happen, obviously. But I'll be surprised if they manage to win this set.
Yeah, I think the key is going to be these first couple of games if they can
Correction, I had that on the line.
get ahead, but it's not looking that way now with being love 40 because
Well, they just changed that call. Umpire Marshall Chapin overruled it and called it good. 15-30.
Okay. I was just saying you definitely start to feel a little scoreboard pressure, and if you're up a little bit, all of a sudden you can feel like you have a little more energy in your legs, and if you're down 2-0 or 1-3, tired legs can feel even more tired.
Great shot from Morneau. And those are the balls that you'd expect Hughes and Powers to put back in play that went through.
$30-40.
Really big point early third set.
You just get the feeling that Araya is going to rev it up here and play fast.
He hasn't played anywhere near the level he played at in the semifinal match. A lot more errors here. But it's not in a vacuum, and Hughes Powers present different challenges than Gambino Trzynski. What a volley.
There's Jeff Morneau hitting the overheads. His right hand on the bottom of the paddle. And then he switches, puts his left hand on the bottom of the paddle when he thinks he's going to have to hit an overhead. Like, just look at that. Every point he's switching. Jeff Morneau's in the white shirt on the far end. If you just focus on his hands, it's amazing what he does up there. He really lets that ball drop and then pushes it forward with a little underslice. Keeps that ball deep in the court and low in the screen, so it's very hard to attack his overhead.
A little bit similar to Scott Estey's overhead.
I mean, look at that. There's nothing they can do with that overhead except lob.
Great shot from John Hughes.
Nice early preparation with the paddle and then shoulder high, his favorite point of contact where he's hitting down on the ball.
There's the look from behind. That back foot over the line. You teach your D6 women to play that way, Scott, where they should hang back, hit the half volley from about 4 feet behind the service line?
It's an easier way to get into net, right?
Much easier for Jeff.
Especially in the warm weather like this, there's a lot of ways to gain the net
Araya Morneau.
aside from just the traditional serve and first volley. A lot of times with the drive, the returner serve comes back so hard that you can redrive it off the back screen, and the returning team reads that, so they, even though they've hit a ball through, they don't even try to come in and take the net. So it takes one extra shot, but it kind of ends up how you would expect the point to start with the servers having the net on 2 through balls to start.
I was watching you today. You were serving and then kind of taking a look and making a last-minute decision whether to come in or not.
Yeah, a lot of times
Araya
that's
Morneau.
stuff that Casey and I have talked about before the point. Whether the returner lets the serve go through to the back screen, or if they take it off the deck, or we try to have at least
Game Araya
an idea of
Morneau.
how we're going to handle each of those
They lead the
situations.
third set, 1 game to love.
Then kind of read from there. But yeah, sometimes it also is improvising on the fly.
There's the break, and you see John Hughes, hands on hips, bent over. Looks like he's really struggling. They really needed a hold there. I mean, you talked about scoreboard pressure and scoreboard energy. When the finish line is in sight, it's kind of like a jolt of energy. As you get behind in the third, you tend to get more tired.
Yeah, sometimes that mountain can seem a little higher to climb, especially when you're fighting it on an energy.
Yeah, it's one of the advantages of the easier path through to the finals. Feel like they got to get back into it early. Can't afford to fall behind 3-4 love.
Nice returner serve by John Hughes, straight at Jeff Morneau's right hip.
$15 all.
That's the first time one served the tee, Araya's served the tee to Powers in a while. Morneau has really tightened up his game the last half hour. Great volley.
$30-15.
Oh, ball almost got him in the head. But they're not moving nearly as much in the backcourt now, which is going to prevent them from generating quite as much offense.
Now, I know you run the risk of lobbing Araya, but if I was John Hughes, I'd try lobbing down the line more and getting one to move back and left and just see where he puts that overhead. I mean, obviously deep out of the service box.
Oh, what a shot from Morneau. Great exchange.
Yeah.
Oh, Hughes is cramping. Yeah,
Yep.
John's
He can't
really
move.
struggling right now.
15.
He can't move. Oh. Oh. Looks like his right leg is really cramped up.
40-15.
John, you got 10 minutes if you need an injury break.
You just heard the umpire say he has 10 minutes if he needs it for an injury timeout.
And it's interesting because tennis has struggled with this. And do you allow timeouts for cramping when it's a matter of conditioning? But then how do you determine whether someone's cramping, someone's got a pulled hamstring? You got a position on that, Scott, anywhere?
As far as our sport goes, I think since we're all pretty good sportsmen, and especially amongst the players, we're all pretty friendly. I think it's fine to give him a few minutes to try to see how he feels. On the ATP and WTA tour, where it's literally their livelihoods that they're playing for, as cruel as it is, I think.
Play on.
I think if you can't play.
I agree.
Because it's too easy to abuse.
I think that's a really good analysis. And you have some familiarity with your partner's cramping too.
Hopefully that's something in the past, but and it's it's one of those things that when it starts to happen, there's not much you can do. Casey had a couple unfortunate incidents last season, but he's doing the right things preparation wise in the days leading up to the tournaments and mornings of tournaments, and I think sometimes too some of these matches can go so long that you even can be completely prepared, and it just sometimes your body just says no mas.
I know Jeff Morneau spent a lot of time stretching and re-stretching when he was waiting for you guys to finish up, and then before lunch. I mean, it's just you play 4 or 5 matches the day before, and it's all part of it. I mean, you've got to be ready to go the next morning for the semi-finals, and especially in this warm weather early in the season, the points are longer. This transition game that the guys are playing now, it is just brutal. I mean, they're just running down so many more balls, and early round matches are much tougher. The draws are deeper, so you guys are battling, the round of 32 and round of 16, and it's like there's wars.
It's one of those. It's what makes the game so much fun, having those long points. But there's no doubt there's a cumulative effect to it, and even like you said, the depth of draws now are incredible. And even if a scoreline says maybe 6-2, 6-3 for a round of 32 match, there's a good chance that might have been an hour 45 minutes and really long points, because there's just so many quality players and players that know how to play the right way and keeping the ball in play. And like you said too, it only gets exaggerated in this warmer weather, and I think it's just you have to prepare that much more if you're wanting to play at the highest level and making quarters and semis and finals of the Grand Prix events. And
the game's much more physical too. So what kind of work, off-court work, do you do to get ready for the
teach
tournament
a lot
season?
of lessons.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because you spend your summer on the tennis court, so it's different getting into playing shape.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference. That is one of the things being a teaching pro, when you're on your feet, so there is that little bit of an endurance factor of just being on the court all day. I'm sure there's some pros that work out a little more than others off the court. I won't say which end of the spectrum I'm on as far as that goes. But
I was going to put you on the spot, but I'll give you a pass. How about your diet? Have you done anything, changed anything in your diet?
I'm the last person to ask about that. My diet is Chipotle, Five Guys, and candy.
335 right now.
So.
You got time.
You are the last person I should ask you. Let me get. I believe Juan is really focusing on his fitness, right, Mark?
He works out hard. He runs a lot. He's at the gym. He's a miracle. He never gets tired. I mean, we'll go to tournaments, and we'll play the age division tournament on Friday. So we'll play 5 tournaments, and I'll come off the court, and people will say, "You're tired." Why would I be tired? I didn't hit any balls. So he plays 5 matches, hits all the balls there, then he'll play 4 or 5 matches Saturday and look fresh as could be on Sunday.
Yeah, I know you see Juan's Facebook updates, I know he does some like half marathons or marathons. And he's always doing his training runs, and like you said, it pays off. You can see that he's always in good shape, always moving. One of the reasons he's at the top of the game.
And his game demands it because he's got so much movement, so much energy goes into every overhead. And I think that fits perfectly with Jeff Morneau because Jeff conserves energy, letting Juan hit a lot of the overheads.
But to Jeff Morneau's credit, when he realized that they really could make a run at it, Jeff got himself back in great shape.
Got in the bike, started working out.
He realized that it was body, mind, spirit. He always had the mind and he always had the spirit. But now to go deep in these tournaments, he's got to be physically fit because fitness goes first. Once you're tired physically, you start making mental mistakes. And this game requires that your head is in the game all the time. So he got himself in great shape. I'm just waiting to see how John Hughes is going to pull up now. He's still shaking his legs.
He's been in some strange positions. He was like in a squat position for a while. If you're cramping, I don't know why you do that. You want to sit down, stretch your legs.
I don't know. I've had experience when I was playing with Lauren Mandel. And once she started cramping, it was, forget it. It was all over. I've never seen a muscle go into such a ball so tight. And there was nothing she could drink, eat,
Well, but that's a result of Lauren's muscles being so strong that's what happens. I mean, John Hughes is clearly not the athlete Lauren Mandel is and doesn't have that kind of muscular nature.
You just amaze me sometimes. Lauren Mandel, just by the way, you guys don't know, is sitting right next to Mark Fisher within kicking, hitting, elbow, and it looks like the guys are going to resume.
Okay, 40-15.
Thank you. Yep.
Scott, how would you respond to a situation like this if you were Araya and Morneau?
I think, as cruel as it is, I'd probably just hit a lot of balls at John and just try to make him move a little bit and kind of see what happens. Not forcing anything that would give him a ball to hit, but just kind of
Araya
push
Morneau,
balls around that half of the court and just see
2 games to love.
what sort of movement there was or wasn't.
Yeah, I agree completely. And serving is going to be a potential issue too because he uses so much of his legs in his serve.
15 love.
This is almost a must-hold for Hughes Powers. You can see he's kind of arming the ball a little bit, not really pushing off like he has been.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the guys that gets a lot of torque and explosion from the lower half of his body. He's got one of the best, if not the best, serve out there, and that has to be a little bit compromised right now the way he's feeling.
And do you think you'll see more patience from Araya and Morneau? You think they'll just play their game?
I think they probably should exhibit some patience, but I also know Juan's one of the best fast players in the world too, so
that's the ball that John Hughes would usually get.
Yeah, not even an attempt at it.
Yeah, he didn't even push off.
Yep, catches the nick. You see some of Araya's inexperience on the deuce court. He'd never get beat by a nick like that in the ad court. How about Mark Powers? How do you think his game, he should adjust his game based on this?
Yeah, I definitely think Hughes and Powers need to try to play a little bit faster. Take a little bit of risks because they're not going to be able to just grind the way they normally do.
Deuce.
Big miss there from Morneau.
That shot was the right shot.
Advantage Hughes
The
Powers.
line was wide open.
This would be a big hold for John Hughes. Stay within reach.
Oh,
That is incredible.
That's like magic.
Hughes.
yeah.
He's standing there in the middle of the court. Hughes has a high forehand. You're thinking, okay, he's in trouble. And then all of a sudden he's won the point. Oh.
my God. Oh.
Yeah, I think we may be coming to the end of the line here.
Yep.
Yeah, now he's
Okay.
camping. It's
They gotta
his
stop.
quad and the hamstring.
No, he's gonna. Come on.
And this is where Mark Powers has to say something, because John Hughes will just keep playing.
He's gonna hurt something else.
Yeah, Juan's telling him, John, this is silly.
He's crazy. He's gonna hurt something else.
But he's insisting. Okay, good. I like Mark coming back. So they're going to stay back. It's ad advantage, Morneau and Araya. And this has become an uncomfortable situation for everybody. Three
Game,
love,
Morneau. They
Araya
win the third
Morneau.
set, 3 games to love.
Great sportsmanship from Jeff Morneau. Yeah, it's a tough situation. I mean, he's in control of the decision,
But he can't
But-
compete.
but he can't compete.
Can't play your game.
And it's not a healthy decision.
It's tough for everybody.
It's like when you're impaired, you don't make the best decisions. And right now he's physically impaired and he wants to compete in the worst way. And he is a tremendous competitor.
He's definitely one of the best competitors out there. He's a great guy off the court. You know, everybody likes John, and this is definitely one of those situations where, you know, we all feel like when we're out there, we're going to do everything to win. And like you said, your mind says yes, but sometimes the body doesn't cooperate.
He's just such a great sportsmanship, and just a great ambassador for our game.
Love.
Jerry, do you think there should be a point in play where the tournament director can come out and say you're just not in physical condition to play?
I don't think you can. Like you said, I think it's his choice. You know, you can't have somebody telling you that. Put yourself in that situation.
No, I understand. That's why I asked the question.
I don't want to be told I can't play, but
And what happens when he's cramping and limping around the court and can't get to any balls at all?
it can be a step into my office, and I think this is the right move. But you can't force him not to play.
15-30.
No, maybe some of the fluids he took will get into the system and he won't be like Lauren Mandel.
15-40.
Big forehand there.
that's-
Normally most people want to be like Lauren Mandel. This is an exception.
You're digging yourself out of a hole, Mark. Let's just stop right there.
Game, Hughes,
Now look, I
Powers,
was just about to say
Araya,
this
Morneau
really
lead the
is
third set,
hard
3
on
games
the
to 1.
opponent, on Araya and Morneau. It's like, what do we do? You know, they
Right.
don't want to look like the bad guy and hit every ball to John, and they're worried about John Hughes, obviously, and they just got broken, just like that.
Foot fault.
Yeah, it's definitely easy to kind of just lose your focus a little bit or let
Yeah.
up a little bit.
Or did John just cramp in the back?
Going across the middle line.
Okay, so umpire Marshall Chapin calls him for a foot fault on the center stripe there.
That line. That's right.
And he confirms with Mark Powers. That's a real good call from our
As you
umpire.
rock back, your back foot's going is across that line. So as you're going up, as your back foot rocks onto that line, that's a foot fault if you follow through with the motion.
And that's the last thing that he wants to hear at this point of the match. That's
15 all.
You can see the stoppage kind of affected Morneau and Araya. Their game has dropped a little bit.
Apparently, John got stung by a bee when that foot fault call was made too.
Oh, that's what happened.
That's why he's reaching at his back there.
Boy, talk about insult to injury.
This is. Oh.
Maybe the bee. Maybe the bee. What's that called? Not venom. The bee sting
15-30.
will serve as a.
Look at some fluids.
As fluids for the cramping.
Talk about cumulative trauma.
Yeah, I saw him move real sharply. There was another cramp. It's getting awful dark outside, isn't it, Scott?
Yeah, there's supposed to be some rain coming into the area. I thought we still had a little bit of time before that.
Nice drive by Jeff
15-40.
Morneau. Got Mark Powers to reach. Got the reaching error.
1540.
Game Araya Morneau. They lead the third set 4-1.
Yeah, you can see John leaning over, shaking his head. I think Shannon Vincent's offering him some anti-bee venom.
Let's hope he's not allergic.
Oh my God! What do you even say that?
I just what jumped into my head as soon as he got stung. I'm like, this is like a nightmare.
Scott, a big thanks from the APTA for all your efforts this last couple of months getting ready. And I guess it's a great training run for you for the 2019 Nationals, which rumor has it are coming to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we just got the formal approval within the last month, and yeah, so basically as soon as this tournament finishes, that's the next big thing as far as paddle in Pittsburgh will be March 2019.
Well, you did a spectacular job with this event, and I'm very confident you'll do even better with Nationals.
I appreciate that. We'll need a lot of help, but it's definitely fun to have the big stuff, the big tournaments in your hometown.
Yep. What? 30 love.
Oh, what a point.
40 love.
It's hard enough to play against Araya when you're healthy. John just is really diminished right now with the legs. I think it's smart that Mark Powers is taking some swings. There's no point in getting into the long points.
Yeah, they have to try.
Boy, that serve was
15 love.
just basically tossing it in the box. You can see how protective he is of his legs right here.
30 love.
And he's got 2 service winners out of it.
Yeah.
$30-15.
$30 all, 2 points from the match.
30 all.
Brings us to match point.
30-40. Deuce.
That was actually a pretty good serve from Hughes. Little spin on it, jumped away from Morneau.
Announcer's curse.
Araya Morneau.
Yeah. Match point number 2. Oh, great pickup.
Unbelievable hands there during that exchange, both ways.
Advantage, Araya Morneau.
Match point number 3. Araya doesn't lose that hands battle. Game, set, and match. Araya Morneau. 3-6, 6-3, 6-1. Scott, thanks for sitting in with us. Very informative, fun talking to you.
Scott is our player, tournament director, and star guest announcer. Thanks, Scott. Great job on the tournament. The first Grand Prix of the series is off to a flying start.
Well, we appreciate it, and we're so happy to have you guys here and happy to have the tournament. And I think all of Pittsburgh Paddle was really excited for this weekend, and glad we were able to put on a good show overall.
Great, and pleasure working with you.
Jerry, it's always great.
Mark Fischel, always entertaining, keeps me on my feet. Now I want to give a big shout out to our director from eNet Live, John Scott, and the producers Kelly Diesel and John Powell. They really did a fabulous job. They're making adjustments as we speak, taking suggestions, moving cameras, and they're going to be with us through the season as we move on next to our next site, the Chicago Charities. And a thank you to Lauren Mandel, our media content coordinator, as well as substituting for our tour director, Shannon Vincent. So it's a moving little village that we have going here now on site. And Ann Sheedy, our executive director for the APTA. It's been a fabulous weekend.
From my end, a big thank you to Jerry Viant for the 30 or 40 hours a day she puts in getting this ready to go, and all the hard work you do making it happen.
Well, it's fun. So we're going to close out with our match wrap-up delivered by Uline, and we'll see you all in a few weeks in Chicago.
See you then, Jerry.